Hi, it's Peter here.
And I'm Jessie.
We have been assigned by our lecturer, Dr. Maslawati, to present a reactionnaire on the topic Universal Grammar in Second Language Acquisition. And we are to justify if we agree or not with the topic that universal grammar is accessible or applicable in second language acquisition. And our answer is no, we disagree with the topic. So, before we start, please allow us to explain what universal grammar is. According to wikipedia.com, universal grammar is a theory developed by Chomsky which suggests that linguistic ability manifests itself without being taught, and that there are properties that all natural human languages share. Therefore, the universal grammar theory indicates that language learning involves innateness. It is a matter of observation and experimentation to determine precisely what abilities are innate and what properties are shared by all languages. This may be true for first language acquisition. However, we have doubts that this theory is applicable when it comes to second language acquisition. We are going to support our standpoint based on two concrete paradigms.
The first one is the difference between first and second language acquisition process. Unlike first language acquisition, which is natural and unconscious, second language acquisition is conscious. In real life, it is clear that children acquire their first language without explicit learning. As we know, children usually pick up the commonly spoken language as their native language. For instance, the Iban children listen and interact with their parents using Iban language every day. Not only that, the Iban language which they learn is the tool to satisfy their needs. For example, the parents would give the children food when the children tell them that they are hungry. Here, the language does its role effectively where both children and parents understand the Iban language. No formal learning lesson is taking place for them to pick up the native language. This is in line with Chomsky's idea that language does not need to be learned but acquired subconsciously. So, does it mean that children do not need to learn English in formal context? I doubt so. According to the Chinese linguist Chang, second language learners are cognitive mature as they already know at least one language and they have different motivations for learning second language. That is to say, what makes first language acquisition different from second language acquisition is the fact that second language learners begin the second language learning with a well-formed first language acquisition system, a more mature cognitive capacity, and an advanced learning mechanism. Krashen too distinguishes first language learning from second language learning, who observes first language learning as involving acquisition and second language learning as based on learning. One of the major hypotheses that indicates the different modes of acquisition between first language acquisition and second language acquisition is the fundamental difference hypothesis by Verbrugge. According to the hypothesis, the nature of the process involved in second language acquisition is radically different from primary language acquisition. Whereas the former process involves a language-specific faculty, the LAD. The latter observes a more general problem-solving skill. The fundamental difference hypothesis also claims that second language learners do not have access to universal grammar, but instead fully accessible to first language. Therefore, their language universal is supposedly constructed through their mother tongue, which meditates knowledge of Yuji. Hence, second language learners will rarely or never achieve a native-like proficiency. This hypothesis also sees fossilization, which is when the learner gets stuck and does not go beyond a certain level of language knowledge, as one of the main factors that limit second language learners' competence. In other words, it is very hard for the second language learners to be proficient in English in four aspects, which are writing, speaking, reading, and listening. One of the examples of our observation is that both our primary and secondary students are dependent on their first language while learning second language, which is English. Throughout their childhood, not many of them are exposed to English due to their family background, in which their parents only use their own dialect or mother tongue in daily conversation. Apart from that, they tend to face some hardship in pronouncing certain words due to the effect of their mother tongue, which is one of the proofs of fossilization. For example, some Malay students in my school always make a sentence like, I very love my mom despite frequent correction. This is because adverb is always placed in front of verb in the Malay grammar system. Due to that, in order for the students to acquire second language, it is essential for them to practice as much as they can in the class as well as in daily life. Simple activities such as sharing ideas about an event or finding solutions in their discussion groups are effective in acquiring second language.
Secondly, I would like to touch on two linguistic environments that play important roles in second language acquisition. One of them is learners' living environment. In the multiracial country like Malaysia, many of the people are equipped with proficiency of different languages like Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil. Despite the languages mentioned above, some people can even speak their own dialects. So what comes into my mind is it the result of innateness, which is suggested by Chomsky, or other factors? Does environment play any roles in second language learning? I am teaching in one of the primary schools where majority learners are Ibans. Most of them can hardly speak English. However, there are a few of them who can speak English well. Without hesitation, I interviewed these students to find out the reasons behind it. The responses I receive are motivation and encouragement from their parents. Although their parents can't speak English and most of the learners use mother tongue with their parents, the constant support and concern from the parents over their learning progress in the second language, which is English, have made them eager to achieve more. Besides, frequent exposure to authentic materials like television programs has as well exposed the learners to English language at home. Even though their parents know nothing about English, they never stop the children from watching English television programs. From there, they pick up English. Can we say that my students speak English well because of their innate ability of language learning? Of course, no. It is due to their frequent exposure to English materials compared to their friends. As for Jessie, she is teaching in a secondary school which has a mixed variety of students. However, most of those who have good command of English are those who are always listening to English songs and English movies. Their interest in the subject matter acts as the source of motivation. Meanwhile, Jessie has also found out that many of her students are better in English because they like to play online games and surf social networks at home. Both of these hobbies require certain proficiency in English. In addition, in order to communicate with players or users from all over the world, they have to use English by hook or by crook. They have found the urge and desire to learn English. Seeing the importance of living environment to SLA, our Ministry of Education, with the collaboration of U.S. Embassy or Fulbright Commission, has launched a new program called English Teaching Assistants (ETA). They hire native English speakers from United States to assist teachers in English lessons, aiming to create a fun, authentic, and meaningful English learning environment. Jessie School is one of the target schools for this program.
Another linguistic environment that affects the second language acquisition is the society, which is Malaysian society. Most of Malaysian students' mother tongues are not English. This is why English is taught as a second language in all Malaysian schools, which is also a compulsory subject in both primary and secondary schools. However, unlike their first language, which is to communicate and survive in their daily life, students do not see how English is an important language for them, especially those from suburban or rural areas. Instead of that, acknowledging the importance of English in this globalization era, our Ministry of Education has even enacted a new rule, which is to make English a compulsory pass subject in order to get their secondary school certificate. Despite all the effort, many students feel that they learn nothing after finishing their secondary school years. Why is this happening? Most of the students who learn English because they have to. They need to pass the written examination. On the same hand, even though many of them pass their English exams successfully, not many of them can speak fluent English. This is not our personal opinion, but a fact as stated by the authority. According to the news published in the Star newspaper on Thursday, October 16, 2014, our Deputy Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said while the scores were good on paper, many graduates cannot speak English fluently. Why is this happening? If, according to Chomsky, students who are born with good command of language should be competent in all aspects of the language due to their innate or biological ability. One of the reasons that we can explain why this is happening is due to the lack of exposure in spoken English in our syllabus. Malaysian students are used to read textbooks with little exposure to real spoken interaction with native English speakers. On the same hand, the large classes in school usually hold shy students back from speaking in front of the class. According to Chomsky, language does not need conscious learning process. Learners who have the innateness will pick up the language themselves. If this is true, why is that after attending English lessons for more than 10 years at school, many of our students can write well but cannot speak fluent English? If it is said that they do not have the innateness in them, why is that those who do not speak fluent English can be very proficient in their mother tongues as well as the written form of English? Therefore, we would rather believe that even if universal grammar does play a part, it is not the determining factor of second language acquisition. Second language learners in Malaysia who have already acquired the basic proficiency of their mother tongues do not find English necessary for their survival in the society. So we can see how influential the society is as a linguistic environment to the second language acquisition. Therefore, students need to be aware of the importance of English in order to acquire them. To achieve this, they need conscious or formal teaching of all three main suspects of language, which are listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Besides, students need to be exposed to different learning skills, such as expressing ideas, creating relationships, exchanging information in order to make the learning meaningful. Subsequently, we hope to point out that in order to make second language acquisition more effective, merely harping on the importance of universal grammar is apparently not enough. Conscious effort and teaching need to be carried out.
In a nutshell, they are believed that universal grammar is available to language learning. However, from our discussion above, we have come to the conclusion that universal grammar does not play an important role in determining students' second language acquisition due to the vast difference between first and second language acquisition process and the strong impact of linguistic environment to second language acquisition. With that, we end our presentation. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed it.